All right, hello OAS family. It is time for another book review, and today we are reviewing a book called Painting the Horse by Hsu Yong and Pai Su-lan. So before we get into the details of the book, the general statistics, the book is 8¼ inches wide by 11¾ inches high. It has approximately 109 pages and has text in Chinese and English. So we're going to go ahead and get into the contents of the book now. We have a table of contents here. Preface, sort of detailing and putting horse painting in general in the broader context of Chinese painting and Chinese culture. So a nice little preface there. We have both in Chinese and English, and then we start our section on what they call horse painted in the elaborate style, which is the gongbi or fine line style. So you can see here we have some examples of some 3 stages, starting here with the line work and then with the initial shading, and then the next step of the shading here where we have more layers of coloration built into the detail. We have a 4-step progression here that starts with the line work and then ink shading, and then as builds it all the way up to the more final shading here, just focusing on the horse head. And then we have a final composition here of a horse with a saddle. Talking about the mane, particularly mane and tail here in the gongbi style. So some nice sequential buildups here, looking at specifically the mane and the tail, how line work works with shading to sort of build the final rendering of these particular hair of the horses. Section here on the legs. And then we have some classic illustrations that are copied here in line work form only. And a couple more here. And we have some final compositions done in the gongbi style. And then a couple more pairings here of both kind of line work paired with final compositions. The same here. And now we get into the spontaneous style. So we have a section here with a sequential buildup of horse in the spontaneous style in just ink, focusing on the head. So you can see how different these two styles are, where we have the more abstract shapes here and the final loose line work to make up this depiction in the spontaneous style of the horse head. So we have a close-up here of head facing a couple different directions, both sort of this sort of front-facing and then this side-facing view. And then we have a 3-stage buildup of this horse that includes some splashes of vermilion as well as the ink work. And then a couple more ideas of the head of the horse. Again, with mostly ink, but with some splashes of this burnt sienna type brown coloring. Now we have this really nice 4-stage buildup here of this very spontaneous sort of grazing horse. Really loose strokes used for the mane and the tail. It's a really nice 4-step sequence here, and then you see the final composition here placed in context with some background strokes to indicate the field that the horse is grazing in. Another shorter stage buildups here, this time in just 2 steps. We have the ink work coupled with some loose background work. First of this galloping horse with this sort of burnt sienna or vermilion style background, and then this section here where we have this sort of paired idea here of these shape strokes done kind of in the boneless style, and then this other idea of just the outlines. And then you could combine these two to sort of get the total effect. Then here on the left hand side we have this front facing horse done in this 5-stage buildup. So we have here, you can see this really wonderful spontaneous stroke done here for the mane, and then how they build the head and the body, and then the saddle and the accoutrements, the legs, finishing up the legs here in this line work stage. And then you can see the finished painting here, adding touches of color, this time using a colored Schwen paper, adding some strokes in the background for the ground and the rocks. So this is a 6-stage buildup of a pair of horses, one darker in the foreground and one lighter in the background. Really nice, a very stylistic rendering here of these galloping horses done in different shades of ink. And then there's 6 stages here, progressing from 4 on the top and then the final 2 here on the bottom. Actually, we're going 1, 2. The order is 1, 2, then 3, then 4, 5, and 6. That's the stages. So we have this resting foal, this young horse. Again, this really nice, loose, spontaneous style. You know, very accessible to anybody because of how free it is. And then we have this mare and foal here, this pairing, and another pairing with mare and foal. So you can see here just a couple stages of build up here with this looser shape strokes up at the top, and then filling in with the detail and the line work here on the bottom. Couple more ideas for young horses or foals in a couple different positions. This one's standing, this one is laying down. And then here's another example of young horse or foal painting. You can see this sort of like awkward stance that they often take with the legs that are still developing. And then here is a very spirited galloping horse facing backwards. A more detailed rendition, but still in the spontaneous style here of this final composition of this lone horse. And now we have some more kind of finished compositions. We have a piebald horse here, and then a similar horse here done like in set in a sort of context of a storm, where we do use a lot of background washes here to indicate the weather. And then on the left hand side we have this sort of horse that's treading in the snow, so you can see that they're lifting its hooves sort of higher to walk more effectively in the snow. And then we have another very free rendition set against the moon. Really very spontaneous pieces here, really focusing on the spirit of the animal. And we have this sense of strength and very dynamic quality in both of these horses. This one's a spotted horse. We featured this in one of our emails. And then this one is a horse galloping in the wind. This painting on the left-hand side, they call it Outgoing. Combination of ink and indigo. And then here is a working horse depicted in the autumn rain. And then here we have this one, horse standing in the freezing wind. And another example of this saddled working horse facing front. 3 more of these very spontaneous style horses done with different colorations. This one we have a background accented in yellow. And then one here primarily in ink with touches of indigo. And then this one here with a light ink and touches of vermilion. And then here is again mare and foal. This one they titled Maternal Tenderness. And then a couple different examples here of mare and foal, as well as a sketch of the idea for this painting. And then this one is trekking in a snowstorm. Have a couple more. This one is called Passion in the Prairie. This one's trekking in the snowstorm. So they've titled this Passion in the Prairie 1 and then 2. So again, we have a pair of horses here done in ink, one with light ink in the background and one with darker ink in the foreground. And then this idea of fighting horses here. There's a couple of very fiery horses intertwined, one done with these primarily vermilion accents, and then this other one with light ink and burnt sienna. So here are 4 horses galloping in different nice color combination here. We have the spotted, we have the one with ink, and then we have the one with burnt sienna accents and the one with light ink in the background. And then we have more galloping horses done in 3 different styles here. And then here we have sort of a what they call a life representation of these saddled working horses here in 2 different contexts. And then we have a bunch of horse riders holding these lassos. And then you can see an example of the spontaneous work where they're depicting the subjects a little bit farther away. So you see kind of a smaller scale and you see how the style expresses itself in that kind of scale. So then we have paintings of horse and horseman, like horse and rider together. So we have some sketches and some final compositions kind of side by side. And then a couple final compositions here. A few more in this similar style. Now we have a section focusing on the head of the horse. So here's a diagram of and a painting of the skeleton, and then here is a close-up of the horse head. And then here we have a diagram of like the muscle structure side by side with a finished painting. And then here is like a depiction or the rendering of like this sort of ancient Greek style of modeling of the horse head. Again, more depictions that are influenced by Greek art. And then we get a section here on the body of the horse. So we get a section here on the anatomy, along with the skeleton of the horse. And then here will be a couple ideas where we have the skeleton rendering and then we build the musculature on top of it, showing these various poses. And then here is an idea of the different kinds of horses. You know, we have these Arabian and then these Mongolian and European horses in the middle, and then showing these different ideas for depicting gender. We have a mare here and a stallion here. And then here's a section talking about the horses in motion. So we have this section here where we have these horses depicted running with cheetah. So you see the different mechanics of these animals, these running animals. And then here is a loose ink sketch of the horse in motion, paired with another more detailed ink sketch below. And then here is a few ideas for a leaping horse. And then this idea of what the horse looks like when it has fallen, or depicting what they call an injured horse. A few examples here. So this is a listing of the other books that are by the same publisher in the back. A lot of their books finish in that way. So here we have it. We have Painting the Horse by Hsu Yong and Pai Su-lan. So really nice book. The horse, this subject is very important for our family. It is kind of our family tradition, horse painting. And so if you have seen some resources by my father, Ningye, he has his own style of painting horse. But, you know, there are many ways to paint horse. And these two artists have assembled a really, really nice book on the subject here, as you can see through this review. So make sure you like and subscribe for more content like this. If you want more information about this book, you can find it on our website. And as always, we wish you happy painting.